The Trump administration is finding a very unlikely hero riding to their aid when it comes to the Hollywood tariffs and making the studios pay far more if they record outside the US of A. So who is the secret ally coming across the mountains, leading the charge for President Trump? Well, shockingly, it's Governor Gavin Newsom. Yeah, Newsom. Hello, folks, and welcome back. It is a joy as ever to have you join us here on the Pro Channel, where we continue the fight for explaining entertainment and keeping you ahead of the culture curve. Folks, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, just know it is our mission, our absolute mission every single video to earn that subscription from you and at least a like button click. All right, folks, we won't wait another minute. Let's hit it with Gavin Newsom now on the side of Orange Man Bad in the fight to save Hollyweird. All right, folks, well, we're going to hit this next one on the nose. It is a topic that you need to know, and that is we've got a major update on the tariff situation from Hollywood, so let's dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. This is Jon Voight, and he is, we believe, the head of the committee that is handing President Trump information regarding what Hollywood should be doing and how the U.S. government can facilitate getting it back to making movies again. We're going to watch Jon Voight, and then we'll get to breaking news that just literally is happening as we speak. Here's the video with Jon Voight.
My fellow Americans and my peers of Hollywood, I recently met with our President Donald J. Trump, who loves the entertainment business, wants to see Hollywood thrive and make films bigger and greater than ever before, as he says, and see productions come back to American Hollywood. The Hollywood that I fell in love with when I was a child and was honored to contribute to during my career. Our industry recently has suffered greatly over these past few years, and many Americans have lost jobs to productions that have gone overseas. It's been very serious. People have lost their homes, can't feed their families. After meeting with many of the entertainment leaders, I have brought forward recommendations to the president for certain tax provisions that can help the industry. Some provisions that could be extended and others that could be revived or instituted. This would help the movie and television production and our beloved theaters that are so important to the American family experience. Our president loves this nation and all the hardworking people in it. He's a great businessman, a leader, and a caring person that will always do the right thing for this country, the people, and our beloved entertainment industry. I'm proud to call the 47th President of the United States of America my friend. And as I've said before, he is the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln. And yes, Sly, George Washington.
All right, well, hold there.
Joe Biden's looking really good and spry.
Folks, out of the Hill right now, we've got this from Elizabeth Crisp. Jon Voight says he presented Hollywood tariff plan to Trump. The Oscar-winning actor, Jon Voight, says he suggested the idea for tariffs on films made in other countries before President Trump floated the proposal on social media over the weekend. After meeting with many of the entertainment leaders, I have brought forward recommendations to the president for certain tax provisions that can help the industry. Goes on to say, this would help the movie and television production and our beloved theaters that are so important to the American family experience. Now, Voight is also tapped alongside with Mel Gibson and Sylvester Stallone to be working on this stuff. And I think there's more stuff that's going to be found out. And folks, I'm going to tell you, we've got breaking news that it turns out more is happening behind the scenes and now out in front of the scenes than we knew before. All right, here is our breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, out of that Park Place, having just been published by Marvin Montanaro. California Governor Gavin Newsom proposes $7.5 billion tax incentive for studios to make America film again. Muffa, after Trump unveils tariff plan on foreign-made movies. Just one day after President Donald Trump proposed a sweeping 100% tariff on movies produced outside the United States, California Governor Gavin Newsom extended an unexpected olive branch. On Monday, Newsom announced he would like to work with the Trump administration to establish a $7.5 billion federal tax incentive to boost domestic film production. America continues to be a film powerhouse, and California is all in to bring more production here, Newsom said. Building on our successful state program, we're eager to partner with the Trump administration to further strengthen domestic production and make America film again. It's that last phrase that has people really interested, because Gavin Newsom, of course, is a Democrat, but he is taking the phrase known for Trump, make America great again, and switching to make America film again, which is suggesting to some that he's ready to play nice to save the California economy. Now, someone who can talk to us about the California economy and the effect of tariffs on productions overseas is the one, the only, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause. Un aplauso, por favor, to Mexican Iron Man. Mike, welcome to the channel, sir.
Yo no hablo el inglés.
Yeah, well, yo sé, I know.
Yo no hablo el honky tonk.
Yo quiero dos tacos de carne asada, por favor.
Mike, give us your thoughts on the Hollywood tariffs.
WDW Pro, es un placer de estar con ustedes aquí en el show.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Let's go. What do you got on these tariffs, though?
I'm sorry. See, you start talking to me in Spanish. I'm going to go pro. I'll go for an hour in Spanish, and then Jonas will have to translate later.
Oh, my goodness. It takes me so long to translate it.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Mike, tell us what you think about these Hollywood tariffs and how this is all going down now with Gavin Newsom adopting the MAGA phrase.
Tom will attest. I got into a little fiery convo yesterday on Midnight Edge in the morning with our panelists on the show yesterday. And I talked about three things. I'll go in reverse order than what I did yesterday. There's the tactical implementation, which is going to be difficult and challenging for a variety of reasons for any kinds of tariffs to be implemented for Hollywood-type productions. The second thing I mentioned had to do with the political will, and then the first thing is the PR value. The PR value of tariffs gets people talking, and the political will puts Gavin, as I said yesterday, in a corner where he's got to do something. And he's had plenty of time to do something. You know, if there were ever a more, by the way, because you always say you don't like talking about politics and you always talk about politics, I'm going to talk about politics because I see that as my license to talk about politics on this show.
But you're not going to talk about politics, but you will. Got it. Mike,
right.
you
I'm going to do the reverse. Instead of you saying I'm not going to do it and then do it, I'm going to do it, and then later you could say you told me not to do it, and then it's not your fault. But the thing is that, as I said yesterday, I mean, I said in the morning, is that just doing this puts Gavin in the corner where he's got to do something. And Gavin's had plenty of time to do stuff over the last many years that he's been in control of that state. In fact, more recently, if we looked at what he just did a few months ago, he sponsored he basically put together enough credits to piece together a package that would not even be about 25 to 30% of what the Atlanta area does in any given year. And that was going to be his multi-year plan. So if he was serious about this, he would have already done it on his own. But instead, it takes someone like Trump, who, whether you like him or not, and I don't know why anyone wouldn't like him, is that he gets people talking and he gets people moving and he gets people doing things. So this, the announcement of tariffs takes the issue away from Gavin Newsom completely, because the entertainment industry loves Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is their darling, whether it's Bill Maher, all the way down the list. Everybody loves Gavin. Gavin's their little pretty boy. He's their little beta boy, and they love him. And Gavin loves entertainment industry almost as much as Bob Iger. Not quite, but almost as much. But yet he's done very little, if anything, to help them, to help the entertainment industry. And I know of friends of mine in the industry who have told me that for the last 2+ years, that if Trump gets elected, they're going to talk to him about helping the entertainment industry because it's dying in California. Shockingly, Trump actually has some friends that aren't Democrat libtards, and he's enacted this tariff plan. And then now Gavin's in a corner, and Gavin's got to respond. I think someone's got to save the motion picture industry in California, because if not, the city's going to die. The state of California only has a few industries. You got the Central Valley, which is farming. You got San Diego, which is military and tourism. Let's take those off the board. In Northern California, you have tech companies, and Gavin's done a pretty good job of driving those out of the state. And believe it or not, California, one of the major industries that really started California up in the north, was oil and gas. And Chevron just announced that it's rolling out. And that was one of two companies that have left for Texas. So oil and gas is out. Tech is increasingly out, and now in Austin. If the entertainment industry isn't saved, and I'm talking about below the line people, your writers, your producing crews, your production, your all of the logistics set people, that is really 80-90%. We talk about how many millions of dollars these Hollywood movie stars make. Well, they're a very small fraction of the total dollars spent, and they're an incredibly small fraction of the overall economy for Southern California. And if the economy dies for entertainment, then we're going to be left with an entire region of people that are just consumers and don't really have much to do except DoorDash each other. And that's got to be, you're going to end up with an economy of people that are going to be further just living off the government teat. See, you see how I censored myself there, Jonas? I said teat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Spelled T-E-A-T.
I thought it was spelled T-E-A-T, like treat without the R.
So in summary, I find tariffs incredibly effective at, one, getting the conversation going from a PR value. Two, I find them incredibly effective politically because it creates action where there's a vacuum of inaction, right? Because what these libtard Americans, people that call themselves Americans, these libtards think they're doing is helping. Dude, we got to help ourselves. Until I can look around, and I have a great life. I'm in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, whatever, but I grew up dirt poor in East San Jose. Until I can look around America and see that our schools are fixed, our inner cities are safe, and that people that are brown, black, and white alike and every shade in between have economic opportunity and safety in their communities and the ability to aspire to the American dream. I don't want to hear jack crap about spending money on anything internationally, and I don't want to hear jack crap about how tough tariffs are going to be for China, United Kingdom, or any other country. I don't care. I don't care. America literally is the most important economy on the planet. And entertainment is one of the most important economies that exist in human civilization. Without entertainment, we do not strive or thrive as a species. Entertainment helps us dream, entertainment helps us celebrate, and entertainment helps us move forward.
Now, Mike, I hear that you say there was a kerfuffle on Midnight's Edge, so I'm going to be interested to see where the battle was on that. But before we do, I just want to get a clarification from you. When we're talking about the tariffs, Jon Voight says that he's presented this to Trump. We would assume that the other people on the committee have done so as well. But what we don't know yet is how these tariffs would be enacted. So, Mike, you, as someone who deals with taxes all the time, walk us through what would be the most efficient way for them to apply a tariff to productions overseas. Do you apply it at the purchase point? Do you apply it at the expense? I
don't know if I can answer. There's an efficient question. Let me tell you what the problem is, and then what the solution might be. The problem is, I'm going to draw parallels with your favorite industry, the shipping industry, where these ships they take money from people that board these ships in international ports, and then they go and spend it, and they keep that money off seas because these ships are based in countries out of the reach of income tax. So the first issue has to be is there's going to have to be some kind of regulation about entry of a production into the market. Let's do an example. Let's do your Snow White, where it is a U.S. production from a U.S. company, yet it's a U.K. entity. Jonas, feel free to jump in whenever you want. It's getting foreign tax credits, and the money is literally being spent overseas. So that's probably, let's just call it a $300 million spend on that movie. And maybe it's got a $200 million in marketing, which is being spent globally, but that's going to cut, So let's just say that $300 million is going to be what's tariffed back. And for that movie to be able to be shown in the U.S. market, there would have to be some kind of regulation or law that would say add a tariff, so that now the production cost goes from $300 million that they spent overseas, including probably $50 or $100 million in tax credits that they got from the United Kingdom, to introduce it to the U.S. market. Now makes their production cost $600 million. Or, for example, if they're, then we get into other problems like, well, what if the U.S. releases only 60% of worldwide income? Well, then is it 60% of 300 million, which gets us to 180, and now the 180 tariff is 180 million? I mean, this is the math that has to be done. So we have to look at geography, we have to look at the dollar amount, and we have to look at the geography of where the entity is based, the dollar amount that's being spent, and the dollar amount of where it's deployed in order to assess what the tariff might be and at what point it gets assessed. And I think the best place to assess it would be upon its release date. The law could state that once this movie is released to a U.S. market, then that's where the tariff becomes, the tax accrual becomes booked into the.
I mean, you kind of already have an idea how this should or could work if it was to go through, but obviously Newsom's trying to make some moves now so it doesn't happen. But that being said, it basically, whenever a production works in Canada or some other country, to get to qualify for those tax incentives, you have to meet certain requirements. I would imagine it would be the same thing here. To be able to avoid the tariff, you have to meet certain requirements, right? It has to be production made in the U.S., at least 80% of it or whatever, and all the vendors and all that kind of stuff have to come from the U.S. or a certain percentage of. It's almost kind of like turning their whole DEI crap back on themselves, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? Where they're. Go ahead.
No, you're sorry, Tom. I always ended up interrupting you. I don't mean to do it. I'll talk after you're done.
No, I'm done. That was pretty much it.
So what they've set up in the UK right now, and Mike, I don't know that I could follow up on what you're saying without just trying to prove that I know how legal entity accounting still does work pre-Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. With this, the UK has essentially, it started with Harry Potter mostly. They have these incentives where as much of that production can stay in the UK as possible. They try to get the effects houses built up in the UK. So Lucasfilm literally has an English office out there ILM has a UK branch out there where they're doing as much of those special effects as possible in the UK, so they can also have the tax credits on special effects being done in the UK. And Mike is right. This is a question of, okay, if you have 100% tariff, is that are you taking the hit on the cost of the film coming to America, or are you taking a hit on the retail price of that ticket at the box office, forcing them to lower the price on these humongous films? Because we have to remember, the most expensive films that have ever been made are all being made in the UK, primarily speaking. And, when we say there's a $600 million price tag or so on The Force Awakens, most of that production was done in the UK, but there are some where only a portion of that production was done in the UK, and they're reporting all of it together because they have to, embarrassingly, they have to report the entire amount if they want to get a tax credit. But even though they'll only get a credit for the portion that was done in the UK, there have been so many little quirks. This is what a tax accountant does: is they look at the fact pattern presented and they try very hard to break it. So I wonder.
What are you saying?
You know exactly.
He's saying you're a professional cheater.
What?
No. What we're saying is, and almost, we are finding the best. Mike is finding the best legal way to play by the rules and keep all the money.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this then. Culture, you've been paying very close attention to all this. The interesting thing to me, beyond just the typical production, is animation. Much of our animation has been going overseas. In fact, Disney has been investing huge amounts of money in sending animation essentially to Canada. And it seems to me that part of the reason they sent the animation to Canada was to get away from their own studios that they filled with wokies. So
that and the unions. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to move your productions out of, the U.S. and to more favorable union locations.
You got a problem if you got to go to Canada to get away from woke. I mean, you're really in a dire situation.
Well, it means you've entrenched it in your own entity, but we talk about that regularly. But
here's the question, though, Culture.
Yeah.
Do these companies now have to quickly bring back the animation studios and put them in America and just essentially sacrifice the entire investment that went into putting these animation studios around the world?
I think they're in. I think they're over a barrel on that. I think they're going to have to. They're going to bite the bullet. Vancouver's going to disappear. The regular productions that are happening in Canada are going to disappear. The carnies of the world, who happen to be the Prime Minister of Canada right now, are going to have to, realize that their industries, entire industries, and all, whether it be animation and film or it's lumber, whatnot, those are going to disappear from his country because he's taken a hard line. People voted for him for some crazy reason. He's taken a hard line, and yet he's going to have to knuckle under and take massive damage. All these other countries are going to be looking at, hey, we just got this new thing, this new film industry that's showing up in our countries, like the UK. Think about the expansion at Pinewood that just, I guess they're on their next phase of that right now in the UK, and that's going to go away. Again, assuming these go the way that they go. But yeah, I mean, they've wasted a bunch of capital in 1,000 different ways, and I'm going to tell you, Disney's going to want that back. Some of it's going to be irrecoverable, just like the day that the Chinese decide that the Disney parks over there are theirs.
Yeah. Right. As soon as a certain island becomes a focal point.
Yeah.
Kevin,
well, this is.
Go ahead,
sorry,
Tom.
As far as the animation thing, one of the reasons they're probably panicking is this: 90%, if not 99%, of all animation over the past 30, 40, 50 years has been done in Korea.
Yeah.
Yep. In other countries. And you know why? Because they can pay their animators like cents
Nothing.
on the dollar.
Yeah, well,
right? Basically what they're doing is they're basically using slave labor to make these movies, and they're just trying to pretend they're not. And what this is going to do is start preventing them to continue to do these kind of practices. And this is the kind of thing that needs to be called out by Hollywood. The way they basically use other people and get away with this crap. And a lot of it is by putting this stuff overseas so that they can get away with it. Because they couldn't do that here in the U.S. or even in the U.K. for that matter. So, yeah.
Now, Kevin, last night we broke the news, and thank you to LW Ghost for helping us do this. But we broke the news last night that the Teamsters is endorsing the Trump tariff plan, even though the plan is not completely out there yet. Now you've got Gavin Newsom essentially co-opting the phrase MAGA and turning it into Make America Film Again. Kevin, I'm not sure, though, that California is going to be able to draw back the filmmakers. I wonder if it's too late still, and if places like Atlanta, Georgia, are going to just grow even bigger and bigger, and California's going to be left in the dust. Kevin, do you think that California can draw people back in at this point, or do you think that the technical individuals, the staffers, the grippers, the cameramen, have they left? Is the expertise already gone?
Listen, desperation makes for strange bedfellows, right? This isn't happening out of some sudden love. This is an alliance built off of, we need to do this. We created a great big old mess, and there is no backpedaling our way out of it. Onerous regulation. I mean, ridiculous regulation. Unions that are way too powerful and worse than the boss hogs that they were initially intended to fight against have created an environment where it's not even remotely feasible to try to make an affordable film or have a large crew without bankrupting a studio. So these people fled for a reason. Yes, we can cry slave wages and all that other stuff, but the reality of it is bad decisions, bad financial policy, bad politics turn California into a radioactive zone where you can't ever want to pretend to make a profit, or you're going to pay dearly for it. So unless we can find a way to Thanos snap out 35, 40 years of awful policy, taxes, regulation upon regulation upon regulation, hidden inside of regulation and absurd laws. No. This is why you're seeing Texas, is why you're seeing Atlanta, and that's just the beginning of it. Become hotbed territories to bring the filming industry in. It's because now you can push back against union lunacy. You can have sensible regulations that protect workers, that protect employees, that manage safety. Then you can do it affordably. And that's the big issue here. We lost the ability to do things affordably. Yes, Hollywood is a gluttonous beast that needs to learn how to control itself, but the politicians also fed that, and they did it with the mentality of you'll never run out of other people's money to spend. The problem is California has run out of other people's money to spend.
Yeah, but they've done that, Kevin. They've done that for what reason? You know why they've done that, because they've taxed everybody out of being excited to do business there. Absolutely. And it's what Mike brought up early. You lost Silicon Valley to other places,
right?
Which is insane.
Hold on, Culture. So Kevin literally just said exactly what I was gonna say. Like I was gonna jump in that is exact. Damn it, Kevin, that's brilliant. I hope everybody listening captured that, because let me just build on that with another point, which is that you can have tariffs all day and night. And although I'm saying, rah, let's do this, what Kevin's explaining is the real problem, which yesterday on Midnight Edge in the morning, Chado described as self-inflicted wounds. Like what Kevin's breaking down is the real problem here. Tariffs aren't going to fix anything, because it's like Kevin's saying, if you don't fix the economic issues about the permitting, the process, the regulations, what you can and can't do in the whole region, Kevin's on point. People are still going to flee wherever. And frankly, I think 100% tariffs on the entertainment industry might not be enough, because there's that game show that is on Fox that, God, who's the host of it? That good-looking guy, Jesus Christ.
Oh, here we go. It's Mike and his love for Steve Harvey again. Oh, boy.
No. It's a white guy. He was in the Breakfast Club. He was.
What do you mean, a good-looking guy? And I say Steve Harvey, and you say no. What are you trying to say, Mike?
No, he's
Judd Nelson.
All right, you're telling me Steve Harvey and Kevin walk into a bar and Kevin's not pulling all the chicks? Come on, no. All right, so I can't remember his name, but he said that. But on his game show, there's a famous interview. It was on YouTube. It was on YouTube and X, like got a ton of views. He flies everybody to Ireland, shoots the game show, and it's cheaper than doing it in LA and Burbank.
Yeah, exactly. They've driven out people from the economy of California. Let me go to Ron though, real quick, because Ron, we're all weighing in on this, and it's a fascinating conversation. Everybody here has made great points. We get a little bit of Mike sounds there, but Ron, you have actually worked in the industry. And a lot of people don't know that about you. I mean, you have starred in movies with Dean Cain. I mean, you're there. Do you believe that California is on the cusp of a renaissance, or is this going to be a growth opportunity for the rest of the nation?
Well, having just been in Atlanta for just a moment, and I'm looking at cities like Atlanta. I'm looking at cities like Cleveland, Ohio. I'm looking even here in Orlando, Florida. This could be a great opportunity for many other cities in the nation besides Hollywood, California, to take advantage, because frankly, the talent, and I'm not talking about the on-screen talent, I'm talking about the off-screen talent. I'm talking about the technicians, the gaffers, the lighting people, the people that hold the microphone. They're all over the country now. They've gone other places because independent filmmakers are utilizing their talents, their skills. And I've seen so much of that. The opportunity is in the United States for this. You talk about animation. Animation used to be drawn right at Walt Disney World. Like they literally had hand-drawn animators on site, and that went away. I would love to see that type of thing come back to the United States. And I've been debating for years whether or not we even have that. But I think that if the opportunity were present, we might see those people that have that talent emerge and come to the forefront. I would love to see. Wouldn't it be amazing if the Walt Disney Company actually made the type of movie that made them famous in the first place, a hand-drawn animated movie once again with actual skilled laborers? I'm not talking about AI, because that's like frightening to me. People have brought up, well, if they bring back animation, they'll just do it with AI. I think you could see the skill and the difference in using AI versus actual hand-drawn animation. And I would love to see that come back to the United States. I think this is a great opportunity. Certainly Gavin Newsom could make it a opportunity for California, but LA is like, it's a cesspool now. It's so disgusting. And when I see other cities, that have opportunity, like, again, Cleveland, Ohio, Atlanta, Georgia. I would love to see more movies being made there. I'd also like to see Atlanta maybe use some movies, tax money made from the movies to expand their highway system, because that's horrible. But that's more of a personal, selfish type of thing when I'm driving through there. But again, I have lots of friends that are still in the industry, and they are not making their money in Hollywood. They're making their money in Atlanta, Georgia, or other places around the nation.
Let me go to Mike. Mike, you started us off. I'm going to hand it to you to button up this conversation. Mike, we're watching these CEOs of these entertainment companies basically stay silent. You haven't had the typical deal where Bob Iger comes out and condemns Trump. You haven't had any kind of, there's not even been a squeak out of David Zaslav. And I'm just curious, Mike, if you're the CEO of one of these companies, are you on the phone right now with the Trump administration, giving them guidance as to what you need and offering to play nice with them? You know, are you offering to get your news divisions in line even? Because, I mean, Disney owns ABC. I would think at this point you're doing everything you can to get the best deal you can for your company and setting politics aside. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, my buddy Elijah Snow and I talked after the Midnight Zed show on the phone. And, you know, for Trump to do this, you got to think it's somewhat there's two angles to this from a political standpoint. One of them is Gavin Newsom. The other side of this is that let's not forget that we got 2 entertainment industry earnings calls that's coming up this week. Right? We got Disney tomorrow, right?
And we've got Warner Brothers and Paramount on Thursday.
Yeah. So I don't believe there's any coincidence that he dropped this hammer Monday morning.
Yeah.
I think this is completely done to rock their worlds and create chaos and put them in defense mode this week, because whatever comments they thought they were going to make tomorrow and Thursday, au contraire, they will be ready for some additional questions on those calls. Now, whether or not any of these libtard wussy sissies in Wall Street, these investment bankers, these libtard leftists that seem to like to manage your people, you know, the people's money and act like it's their own, whether or not they'll have any real balls and ask any important questions about this, I would be interested to see tomorrow and Thursday. But I definitely think that the Trump administration did this on purpose, knowing when the earnings calls are. And let's be even more blunt. As you've covered extensively in your non-political entertainment show, never political, Mike. the politics of the Paramount deal are out there. There's a settlement waiting to be had. There's approval from the FCC waiting to happen. Why don't we just drop on a studio that's already got a struggling stock price? Let's just drop a hammer on Sherry and let her people think about a 100% tariff on stuff that they're spending overseas. And while we're at it, let's see how Bob responds. Our buddy Bob. Let's see what this does to Bob tomorrow.
I hope, and Tom, I told Mike he'd get the button up, but I got to ask you this: I would love to see Trump come out and also say that if they do these DEI quotas, that any movie that does that is going to get hit with a tariff as well. I would love to see it. I don't know if it can happen, but Tom, we'll give you the final word on that.
They need to stop making all these crappy woke movies. We need more movies like Kickboxer.
Oh, Tom. It is such fun getting to spend time together, folks, but we have come to the end of yet another video. Well, that makes the mainstream scratch their heads, pull their hair out, and wonder, how is it we continue to do what we do? But you know what we do this for? It's for you. To keep bringing all the knowledge of entertainment, explaining what's going on in Hollyweird each and every day. And you can help us continue on that way by clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. Share this out on your favorite social media platforms, and we would love to have you drop a comment right on down below. Share your thoughts because, well, your thoughts truly do matter, and we mean it. As we get ready to say goodbye, we end with the common refrain. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Hey, Floral, guess what?
You put a fork in Pro's microwave again.
No, that was yesterday.
I don't know that what.
Oh, I've decided to give up on torturing Jonas.
What? Why? In the same way the cat sleeps like 20 hours a day, that was like your purpose.
I know, but I've decided there's bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
Like Lorne. I mean, think about it. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite, and frankly, he has almost no weaknesses I can find. Except that he's really smart.
So, you want to annoy the one panelist without a single flaw, because he's smart.
Yeah, like that winged statue at that fancy Paris museum thingy. I want to break the one thing that everyone loves most.
So, kind of like the opposite of Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to see her all the time at family reunions anyway.
You get to see Rachel Zegler?
Yeah. I mean, she's a total troll. Lives under a bridge, harasses billy goats, the whole 9 yards.
It all makes sense now.
Speaking of which, maybe she'll get me... I'm gonna call her on my... I'm gonna call her and see if she'll be in the next Indiana Jones. She should be the next Indiana Jones. That'll totally destroy Lord. He loves Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, Rach. I've got a cool idea for you that involves a whip and snakes.
I love that description. It's perfect.
I know, right? Weird, as we always say.